This is an instructional video for the instructor of the Weekend College Business 1360 Software Applications class. First, I want you to know that I will provide you obviously with a copy of the syllabus. You will want to go through and customize your contact information, and there's probably some other things that you will want to review. I do have the student learning objectives, and this TBR is a connection to the TBR learning objective for this particular course. Prerequisites, of course, and really a note that throughout this course there are two websites that are going to be used a lot. If your students, and sometimes they do have a home computer, but they do not have Word or PowerPoint or Excel or all the great things, OneNote and that, please know they do have free access to this through the college, and they can install it on their computer. Know that there's also a web-based version, but also when they install it on their computer, the installation program will know if it's for a Mac or if it's for a PC. However, the instructions in this course are designed for a Windows-based computer. Okay. As you go through the syllabus, something that I want to point out, and you can certainly read through all this, is of course the text and all that, is that some pieces of the content I don't have any control over. This is part of a template that, from what I understand, is going away very soon. So you can certainly probably put this syllabus in something totally different than the system we're using now, which, like I said, is actually slated for failure, from what I understand. Anyway, what I wanted to get to was the assessment and grading section of the course, because you may want to read this for yourself and go over it with the students. It explains each assignment that they will do, and tells them about drop grades, tells them things multiple choice, or how it works, number of attempts. So there's a lot of detailed information in this. Okay, the lead and follow, and I will talk more about these as I show you the systems that they're actually in. Okay, things like pass-fail grades, minimum score requirements. So please do go through. This will help you guide the students so much more. This is the points that these are the points that the student can earn, the percentage of the grade. You will notice that there is not specific points for attendance or participation, and that is because many of things are, you'll notice, in class. And while the knowledge could be made up, and I will talk about that in a moment, it's the attendance and watching the person do it in class that is emphasized. And so in some ways these are low points, 10 points each, and there are drop grades. So one missed class is definitely not catastrophic, but there is a need to attend, and so you may want to point that out. I do give an example of how to calculate the grade. It's strictly a points basis because the weights come by the number of points assigned, right? Okay, grade scale, and I see that I need to fix, there's a font strangeness that happened there. Okay, and again, go through, customize. We don't have, see, some of this is just part of the template, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the class, so you just tell them to skip those parts. Okay, so there's the syllabus, and that's the template, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. I think the key to this course, if you are the instructor for this class, is going to be the schedule. And I'm going to encourage you to have a real sense of urgency with this schedule, and I'm going to encourage you to impart that sense of urgency to the students, because every minute counts, and that means they have to really they have to come on time, they have to stay the whole class. You're going to use every minute of the class period, and it's going to be easy for frustration to set in, and so you want to tell them on the front end how important every minute is. Again, hybrid, and not just a fast track, an intensive fast track, right? Now, prior to class, be leery of creating an uneven playing field, because students will enroll the day before, the morning of, 2 days before the start of this intensively accelerated class. So you want to make sure whatever one has the opportunity to do, the others have the opportunity to do, so that you're not in a situation where you're trying to extend assignments where they're into their next intensive term, right? So again, the more you can do to start everyone at the same time, the better. So what I would do if I was you is I would do a video similar to this one, if you're comfortable with it, to do a syllabus review. But each day I would email to the class roster the syllabus as well as the class schedule. And I think if you do that, you will make sure then that you are getting the syllabus and the class schedule to students who are adding and dropping, coming in and out of the class. So if you do that perhaps on a daily basis, just repeat the email and send it again. Maybe part of the email could say, I'm going to be sending this email every day through the start of the first day of class, for example. So I have it outlined as week 1, day 1 with the times there, and this is set up currently for the fall. And when they start, this is what I'm going to encourage you to do. Get them as soon as they enter the room to log into that computer. It's going to be critical. If you're comfortable using your login to make sure the computers are already started, then you may want to consider that. But it can take the computers 5-10 minutes to go through, especially a virtual login. So encourage them to do that right away. The first night you are going to get them set up in My IT Lab. Now you don't want to do this in advance, and I will tell you why. Because there is a 14-day free trial to the course, but that 14-day free trial is only available to students 14 days from the day the first student ever logs in. So if you have a student who 1 week before the class says, I'm going to create my free trial, then that means time is running out for other students to use the free trial. If they all start on the first day, if you go through this together, then again it ensures a more level playing field, okay? All right, so speaking of that, what I will also provide to you, I think I have this open. No, I don't. What I will also provide to you, let me pause just a moment. Oops. Okay, nope. Sorry. Dadgummit, it always happens, doesn't it? What I will also provide to you is a registration page like this. I'll give you a copy of my IT Lab course, and they provide an instruction page that I customize just a moment. Oops, sorry. Oh, goodness. Okay, here's the instruction page, and you see it's unique to the instructor, and so you'll want to have your own course code. You want to emphasize browsers like Chrome, for example. You want to emphasize that they need to enable pop-ups. You also want to emphasize that if they have taken a learning support class such as My Math Lab, they may already have a login that uses their My Southwest password, and it may be a password that they've since had to change, so they need to use like not just their current password, but try like their last password, that kind of thing. But they can use whatever email address they want, okay? But I'll give you a copy of this, but you can go through, emphasize technical support, those types of things, okay? All right. Okay, so there's that the syllabus in the online format. Like I said, this system is scheduled to be demised from what I understand, and so not too much need to focus on that. All right. Now, let's go back to the schedule. Okay, so when they come in, you need to get them into pause and using the pretest, and you'll find that, of course, under the quizzes in pause. One thing that I want to emphasize with that, I apologize for clicking around, I forget where I've left things. yeah, there's many ways. I have links in content and also, but under assessment quizzes, that may be just a really super fast way as you're leading them through this. Let me look at this as a student, which is how they will see it. Right. These are sorted alphabetically. There's different ways to sort it, but anyway, tell them to find the pretest. Now you'll notice that I have this with a start and end time from 8 to 8:15 because again, let me repeat, every minute counts. So when they come in, you need to have them go in and go ahead and start that pretest. Allow 10 minutes, so really 8:10, 8:15, you need to be shutting them down. It's time to go to the next thing, and the next thing is setting up your MyIT Lab. You're going to need to walk around and get them out of that test because they'll be using test time, right? This is just a bonus point assignment anyway, no makeups. You have to be present to win, right? Now, the first night of class, I would encourage you to make the team assignments whoever is sitting next to each other so they don't have to log into different computers. Alternatively, and what I would suggest for the other class meetings is that as they come in, you immediately say, okay, you and you, your partners tonight, sit together. You and you, your partners tonight, sit together, because you won't have time for them to move around in the class. As you're pushing them into teams, this is a great way to take attendance at that time as well. Now, that team component is key for business. We want them to partner. We want them to work together. Now, at this point, as they're ready, you're going to have them download the files that are in pause. Now, I just went into the student view. Let me exit out of this. So, for example, if I go under assignments, this is where they're going to submit their completed work, and it's closed right now, which is why I'm showing it to you in this way. Attached to each one of these drop boxes are the files. I'm sorry, the new look and feel. This, when this is active, this is going to that must mean the student files. Goodness. Yeah, submissions. Okay, not submissions. Don't want submissions. I'm sorry, this is just me with pause. So anyway, attached to each one of these, I should have edited the okay, this is what I'm trying to show you. I apologize, my navigation error. Okay, this is where, these are the files the students will see. They can download. You're going to use this as you begin the instruction, because in the ebook, okay, in the ebook, that's what you're going to have them open. So this is a great time to show them the ebook, get them into the ebook. That's why we're starting with the instructor doing this. So in the ebook, what you're going to see, let me go to, for example, Business Unit 1. This is the ebook. It's fantastic. It has a lot of interactive content that you're going to have to really encourage them to use. You page through the book. I won't waste a lot of time showing you these things because hopefully you would understand this. These are files also they can download these files. See how when I hover over that, and then this is what ultimately the files that they will produce. But what this book is fantastic about is, first of all, explaining content. Remember that. I'm going to come back to that later. So this is reading they would do outside of class, but step-by-step instructions. So up at the instructor station, you'll have two monitors. You want to put the instructions up on one of the monitors because you're going to lead the class through these. According to the schedule, you're going to try to get through about 4 pages. That will go very quickly because, as you can see, some of these instructions are very fast, right? Very fast. Now, let's say you have a student who misses class. I mean, God forbid, right? But who misses class. Well, they can go on their own time. They're going to lose the points, but they do have a drop grade. But they can go through and get the support they need by playing the video. The video will also walk them through these steps, but you're doing this as an in-class exercise. So when you go through this, okay, so I'm going to, let's just say, I'm going to kind of guesstimate it at a page. You go through this, you keep advancing page by page, right? And then it'll be time to turn it over to the next presentation team. So the next team comes up and they're going to start working on their files and they're going to lead the class. This gives you the opportunity to walk around and help people so that you stay on target. If they want to have their files on a flash drive, very quickly unplug their flash drive and continue working on their assignment at the projector, and then go back and sit down, you know, with their flash drive, then they won't miss any steps. If they're working in teams, then they could of course share those files, and that, you know, that will help them stay on track, right? Go through as many, I just put 2 teams here, but if you could go through more than 4 pages, that is fantastic. The more learning, the better, right? Notice we have about 15-minute blocks. You want to get them used to that so that they're, you know, like I said, there's got to be a sense of urgency. You're going to take a bio break, and during that time, what they're going to do is they're going to go into pause, and they're going to upload their assignment into this Dropbox. Okay, so I can't show that now because it's not open to the students yet, but they're going to upload those files. You will then later grade those assignments, and a lot of it is going to be graded by walking around. You may want to tell them, you know, what I'm looking for is your competency in this, your ability to participate, your learning as part of this. Now, once that 15-minute break is over, the way that you're going to corral them and get them moving forward again as a unit is you're going to have a quiz in pause. Now, this covers some of the reading content. If they want to have 2 computers open and have their ebook open, you know, on one or different browser, probably more practical to have different browser windows. You know, I think that's fine. They can search for the answers because that will be part of the learning process. But in pause, you'll see the quizzes. And they won't see this. I'm in the instructor's view again, okay, so please bear with me. But there's no Word 1 quiz because remember we did the SLO quiz, but they have a Word 2 quiz. They'll go in, it's 10 questions, and again, it's designed to reinforce that there's more to it than just the how-to. There's the why, and there's the business application, okay? So then you're going to repeat that pattern, but this time you're going to advance your ebook into chapter 2, right? And you're going to say to the student, go to, you know, whatever the first page of instruction is. You might have to flip through it. They'll have it on one of those 2 monitors so they can read this while they're leading the students through the steps. And again, if anybody has problems, that's when they would review those instructions later on. You're walking around to make sure that they are on target, right? Excuse me. Okay, at the, you know, again, try to get each team to go through 4 pages. Maybe somebody goes through 5 pages. Maybe you have more than just 2 teams, as many as you can. When it gets about, you know, you've got about 10 minutes left, so maybe at 10 o'clock, you know, wherever you're at on this, go ahead and stop, let them save their work. They may want to continue working independently at home, but they need to submit that into the pause Dropbox. Now, they have homework. Yes, it is 10:15 at night. They have homework on this. Let me pause for just a moment on this. The homework that they'll do is simulators. It's in my IT lab, as it says there. I'm only having them do 2 because, you know, again, it's they're leaving class at 10:15. Class starts the next day at 1 o'clock, and so they need to have it done. Really, what the goal here is by noon. I'm going to give you a suggestion, which is that you don't let them work on that right up until class starts, because you won't be able to get them working on the next assignment, and every minute in the class meetings is really going to be precious. So you really are going to have to, you know, impart that sense of urgency and an ability to stick with the schedule. You're going to need their help on that. So they need to have the schedule in front of them at all times. Now, the simulators do not require any software installed on their computer. They just need internet access and a browser. So they'll go into My IT Lab. You'll emphasize the pop-ups and that type of thing. And if they get confused, if they struggle with what is a simulator, I don't understand, the simulators have a ton of support in them. So here are some resources for you, for the students, okay? Everything under the content is sequential as you go through this, but under Getting Started, there are some sections for help on pause, for help on My IT Lab, and even the link where they can go to get the software. So under My IT Lab, and I'm not going to click on these now, but these are videos created by Pearson. They're very well done. They're closed caption. There's a lot of support. The simulator and how to get help and understand your grade and all that in the simulator. One of the most important tools or features that the students will love is under the simulator, they can go to the help button and they'll have 4 different help options, which appeals to the different types of learners. And the most common one is where you follow along. So it tells you, okay, here's what you need to click on first, and it highlights it on the screen. They move their mouse to that, they click or they type, they do whatever they're supposed to do, and then the simulator moves on. The help moves on. When they get to the end of the help, it turns them back to the part where they then have to demonstrate that they understand how to do it. So the simulators are very good tools. Now, they're not comprehensive, and you want to tell the students that it's not a substitution for reading. It's just that we have limited time here, and so you're pushing them into that, right? Personally, I like to learn students' names by taking pictures. Sometimes you can use their pictures throughout the class to demonstrate something. If you want to remove that from the schedule, that's certainly your option. Maybe you want to take a group photo so they can all learn each other's names, right? Okay. When you come in Saturday, right at 1 o'clock, but again, you got to be telling them as they come in. Now, here's my suggestion for you. People tend to go back to the seat that they started in, and that will slow down the team assignments. So as they come in, the first 2 people are a team, the second 2 people are a team. Make them sit together, get them logged in. That's going to be hugely important. They need to go into pause right away. They need to start the Word 3 quiz, 10-question quiz. Hopefully they've had some time to read. Probably not, but this is something you may want to walk around, talk to them about if they're struggling with one of those questions, right? Word tends to be the software applications that students are more familiar with, so that will be to your advantage in this as well. Once again, you're going to go to that ebook. They're going to have to, you're going to help them download the files. I would suggest downloading for both chapters, right? Save them to their flash drive so that they can start working. You're going to go through those step-by-step instructions in the ebook. Try to get through 4 pages. And again, I think you'll be able to do 4 pages in less than 15 minutes. And so that gives you some time to help them download the files, right? So you're going to continue with this sequence, and hopefully the students will become comfortable with this. They'll have the bio break where don't forget to tell them you must upload your files into pause. You're going to be walking around. That's going to be an advantage of that. While they're doing that, you can take their picture. Get the group, the whole class started back and in sync with each other with the pause quiz starting, exactly 15 minutes later, right? So you give them 15 minutes for that quiz. Earlier, 15 minutes. It's a 10-question multiple choice quiz. You might pick up a few minutes, from that if they'll cooperate with you. Again, get the teams going. This is for a business skill. They're presenting, they're leading, you're walking around. If there's 2 people to a team, whoever's not actively presenting can be walking around, and then switch, steps. So this is a very group dynamic where they're working together. I think that's key. Bio break, submit. Now here's a new thing, and that is earning a badge, and that is using something in my IT lab called a grader assignment. Okay, now Pearson will only give those badges to students who score a 90% or above. Nothing you can do about that, so you may want to make that clear to them, right? If they argue that they actually did something correct, it's got to be 90%. Okay, it's got to be 90% or above. This is a grader project, though, and so in the syllabus, you'll see that this is actually graded on a pass-fail basis. Now, the due dates and times that I have set for you in my IT lab, give them until 11:55. Okay, so almost midnight, well past, class stops at 5, right? They get competitive, which is awesome. So if they want to keep working on it, if they want to go home and work on that grader, they want that badge, I would encourage you to let them do that. I think that's wonderful. Sometimes you'll get 1 or 2 students who will stay after class. I tend to find myself sticking around. So if they really have a question, on something, not the how-to, but the mechanics of the My IT Lab system, I find that I use that time to grade and to do things anyway, and so if you're there, they tend to ask you questions. It's better than office hours, frankly. Okay, so how does that grader work? Well, I would really encourage you, if you do have time, play one or both of these links in class to help them, especially this first time, because the way that the graders work, let me go back here to my IT lab. I'm going to go under course materials, and okay, just like PAWS, this structure follows what you're seeing in PAWS. Here's the grader. Okay, I'm clicking that to go into the grader. I'm going to click the assignment. All right, they've really tried to make this step by step, but first you download the starting file. And I think they've done the instructions separate now. Yeah, they've made a little change over the years on that. So there may be more than one file. They can download them individually, which you may want to encourage. Download all files sometimes puts it in a zip file, which can be confusing to students. So I would encourage you to have them download those files one at a time. Preview the instructions. This is going to tell them exactly what to do and how many points are associated with each one of those steps. So they'll go through and do that. Now, they cannot share the starter file. They must use their unique starter file, or the system will flag them for cheating, basically, right? Once they have finished the steps, they're going to select their file and upload it. Once it's uploaded, and they've got to remember this, please emphasize this, they must click the submit for grading. So sometimes there's an assumption that once you upload the file, you're done. You must submit for grading. Okay, now here's the trick that you want to emphasize. Let's say they don't get 100. Let's say they don't get a badge. Let's say they don't pass the minimum score for pass-fail. Then what they can do is and what those videos will show them, and this is really why they want to go back to pause and watch these videos. The system generates reports that says this is what you did wrong. You do not have to start over. Instead, let's see, where'd I go? Instead, use the same file. Don't download again. Just open up that exact same file again, okay, and try to correct the errors that you made. Once you have the errors corrected, upload it again, submit for grading again. So the goal is not to just say you've gotten this score and that's where you are. The goal is to learn from your mistakes. Hey, you know a great resource to help you learn from your mistakes, you may say to the students? Your textbook, that ebook. go back to that book and you don't know how to do a certain, I mean that's not a good example there, but you don't know how to do an instruction, you may want to go back and read that again, so that they understand. Okay, so anyway, and you can see they even have these in the printed book, but they really have got to use the ebook. That's just really essential. Okay. What you want to emphasize before they wrap up, you may want to jump down, is that they have homework due for the next week. One of the most important things you can tell them about the homework, especially for Excel, is that they need to be going through the book. Okay, now you're not grading them on the reading, but they're going to have difficulty if they're not doing it, okay, because you have quizzes coming up, you have assignments coming up. They've got to get in there and practice it. What you are grading during, from the week is the simulators. So they're going to go through all 4 chapters of Excel and they're going to complete those simulators. Again, they have a lot of support. It's not comprehensive though, it's just key concepts. If they don't know how to do something, they need to use the built-in support to the simulator, do the step-by-step, whatever of the multiple types of support works for them, they can do that. What they don't know how to do the simulator, they can't remember, they're confused by that, they have the videos that they can watch to help them master that, so they have support during that process. Okay. All right, let's go back to the schedule again, because when you meet for week 2, day 1, guess what? Get the class started on time, but as they come in, what are you doing? Person number 1 and person number 2, you're a team. What? You were a team last week? Then sit separately, because then we will make new teams. As business people, they're partnering, they're learning to work together. You want a lot of cooperation amongst that team. But they are going to do that Excel quiz. They have 10 minutes. Notice that, not 15, but 10 minutes. They're familiar with it at this point. They've done this before. You as the instructor are going to get them started downloading those files. You're going to have to encourage them. They have to stay pace with you because they're going to be completing those 4 pages that they will be uploading. This is not a take-home assignment. You need to be doing this as we're progressing through the class. Okay, so and let me put a note here. If the pace is too fast, the 3-week format may not be the format for you, right? Okay, and again, you see they're going to submit that into pause. You're grading, you're walking around, you're making sure they're staying on track. You're looking at their completed work. Was it just one thing they didn't get, or was the whole file a disaster, right? These are 10-point assignments. It's really designed to, it's participation, it's attendance. They need to be doing this, right? Because it's up to them to master this while they, during their time. Now, what homework do they have due? And if they haven't been prepping, this is going to come on them like a tidal wave, all these things. So during the week, it's urgent that they have prepped, okay? Between now and the next day, between now and tomorrow, right, by noon, you're always trying to use this noon date, they're going to do a grader for Excel. Okay, so as you know, they're going to have to download that file, they're going to have to complete the steps, they're going to submit it. It's a single grader that covers chapters 1 and 2. So if we go back to course materials, and there is a course calendar that you may have noticed on the previous page there, that will also, the due dates are all in the system. You can change the order of this, but I have 2 graders, and rather than making 1,000 folders, I just put them both under this one, because remember they've done the simulators, and so they should have seen that. Here's that grader. Okay, here's that grader. Now when they complete the next 2 chapters, there's the next grader. They're going to have to get started on that. Did I put my folder underneath that? I'm sorry. Okay. I'd have to clean that up. I'm sorry. Okay, so a little detour there, but that's what this is about, right? Okay, so you continue on Saturday. Again, you're covering chapters 3 and 4. You're submitting work. You're concluding with the badge that they have an opportunity. What is the homework? Once again, it's the simulators, this time for PowerPoint. You start the next and last week exactly the same putting them into teams. They're going to be doing the presentation. You're going to start them off demonstrating that. They're going to be doing the quizzes, uploading their work, and then at the end of class, well, at the end of this class, again, they have that familiar homework. They need to be reading. They need to be doing that grader so that they're ready to start class the next afternoon. When they start that final class meeting, you're going to once again have them come into pause, and you may want to tell them this so that when they come in, they don't go looking for a quiz, a PowerPoint quiz. They need to start the SLO test because you want to assess their learning. You're going to put them into their teams, and again, they're going to be doing the presenting, where they're going through those steps, they're walking around, they're supporting their classmates. So this is a very interactive learning process, very good business incorporation here and business skills, and then you're going to conclude with that, with that PowerPoint, okay? So you see the schedule is really the guide here. It's going to take you into the assignments in My IT Lab. The ebook is going to be critical, and it's a great ebook. It is a little on the expensive side. They may argue about that, and that's okay, because the support that they are going to have in this, the video links, clicking through it, they will try to skip this, and you're going to have to really push them into this book, because the resources that they find and that they use here, like these videos that tell them how to complete the steps, are going to minimize the frustration. Okay, that's the key to minimizing the frustration, is you really have to get them into these tools. All right. Also, and I know whoever's teaching this will know this, an hour one day, each and every day, is better than 4 hours on a single day. The learning is going to be much better. So again, here we are in pause. You can see, I mean, just the instructions step by step. You're seeing things that are available to the instructor. If I show you this more from the banner perspective, you know, this is where I typically put the course code in case somebody learns late. You want to make sure, enters the course late. And so again, you can see they just step by step through the material. One final note. If I was you, I would come to class with a laptop. Remember, the students are going to be using the instructor's computer to present. The reason I say I would come with a laptop is because of the way the assignments are scheduled. Assignments as well as quizzes. If we go into one of these drop boxes, let's just edit, you will notice that okay, there's the files. We talked about that. You're going to be doing that. Let me look at restrictions. Well, I'm sorry. Let me do this another way. Again, this is I'm just as real-time presentation here. Let me check everything and do a bulk edit. All right. Look at the times on these drop boxes. The due date, ending date is pretty consistent, but the start times are they're consistent in that chapter 3s tend to start at 3 p.m. Chapter 4s tend to start at 4 p.m. Because these are the days of the weeks, and it is my best guess as to when that drop box should become open to the students. Okay, now it is very possible that things will change, and you may need to open one of these drop boxes or close one of these drop boxes at a different time. The same is definitely true of the quizzes. As you come into the quizzes, you know, again, I'm in the instructor's view, so they won't see any of this. If I was you, I would keep this quiz closed until the start of class. And the reason that I say that is they're going to do it at home, and you don't know who's doing that quiz. So if that's okay with you, you may want to do that. But if you want it to be an in-class activity, then you're going to want to kind of sit on it a little bit more, you know, for more control. You're going to want to set those times. In my case, I would not want the SLO tests opening until class begins. You may want to put a password on that you announce in class. So the purpose of these times is to control the environment. I see these as things you will very actively adjust on the fly as you're conducting the class. Okay, so these 1201s, you really can't go by that, because I think you're going to have to control that a bit more tightly. Is that a way to say that? Okay, hopefully so. You know, so if you think the quiz is going to start right at 1 o'clock, set that quiz to open at 1. If you guesstimate that this is an hour and a half later, then open it at 2:30. Maybe keep it closed until you click the Open Now button, right? And if you have your laptop there, you'll certainly be able to do that. So that is the schedule. That is the syllabus naturally you can read. That is my IT lab and the e-textbook. I know this has been a long video, but I hope it's beneficial to you. I would encourage you to make a video for the students to review the syllabus to help them get started. They may benefit from a YouTube video through the week that just offers your encouragement, or maybe just an email to prod them. I am reluctant to give them too much content between classes, because they need to be going through the course content, the book, the simulators, you know, those types of things. All right. Thank you, and I hope this is helpful.